Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Friday, the 2nd day of February, year of our Lord 2018, welcome to the John Moore Show. The proper tip of the day, I want to encourage all of you to inventory everything. Everything from your socks to your garden seeds to the batteries for your energy cleaner, your food, of course, water filters. Inventory everything. While you're taking inventory, make sure everything is in proper working condition, that no harm has come to it from insects or rust or corrosion, humidity, heat, and then, last but not least, prioritize what you need to be buying. Buy the highest priority first and move yourself down the list. That's your prepper tip of the day. We have patient Wendy Green with my friend Tom Berryhill. Tom is a gentleman who began more than half a century ago to become a licensed ham operator. He's also, during his lifetime, become very accomplished in the area of radio frequency engineering, electronics, and related topics. Good morning, Tom.
As it is here.
Tom, are you there?
I'm here, John.
Okay. Didn't hear you for a moment. Thank you, sir. Well, we're
Got
moving
a lot
forward.
Of cold weather. John, what's the temperature where you are? It's like 7 degrees here.
Yeah,
Wow.
I see a disparity between what I'm seeing in my thermometers. I have several of them around the house, reading around 14, 15, but officially it's 9 degrees. And looking at the forecast, we got some weather that's not all that unusual for February for south central Missouri. Lows running 17 degrees to 23 degrees overnight, and then highs in the 30s and up to mid-40s over the next 10 days or so. No precipitation of any consequence. They're saying we may get some ice pellets up to an inch Tuesday. I'll believe it when I see it.
Wait a minute. Ice pellets, are they saying like hail?
Well, all I know is what's in front of me. It says ice pellets.
Well, I just wonder if they mean accumulation or an inch in diameter. That would be...
no. That would be this is accumulation, not the size.
Okay,
no.
Okay, well, we can put up with that, but not inch in diameter. That would be really bad.
You know, an inch of ice pellets would be maybe a 16th of an inch of water, if that.
Yeah.
And we're really... I don't know how far behind we are on precipitation here, but it has to be 8 to 10 inches. We're under in a severe drought here, quite frankly, which if it continues into the spring is going to have a dramatic effect on these cattle ranchers here for water for the cattle and growing hay both, which is two things that are not optional for the cattle ranchers. But what they persevere, they'll do what they need to do to stay in business. They'll cut back the herd. They'll be creative in getting hay, creative in getting water, and life will go on, won't it, Tom?
It sure will. Those guys know how to get the job done no matter what.
They're tough guys. They're tough men. And these cowboys may ride around in pickup trucks, but I guarantee they're just as tough as their great-grandfathers were a century ago. Well, Tom, we talk about emergency communications. My prepper tip of the day was to inventory everything, and let's extrapolate that into the world of radios and communication. So people listening to us, they may have a radio, they may have 20 radios, or they may have, like I've got here at my place, we don't know how many radios we've got, maybe 200 or 300, because we get bunches of them in the various industrial auctions. Regardless, if you've got one radio or 200 or 300, whatever radios you expect to be using in the future, those radios need to be in good condition. The batteries need to be in good condition. The chargers need to be in good condition. The antennas, now I've seen antennas, these rubber ducky antennas, Tom, after 20 or 25 years, that rubber gets brittle and starts breaking apart, doesn't it?
Just falls apart, and there's a metal spring inside of there. And just from the constant flexing and use of that radio and the antenna connected, well, it does disintegrate. So keep spare antennas on hand, yes. And John, speaking of ice, icy weather and things like that, and inventory, if you have an HF radio system and you have dipole and wire type antennas, keep some extra wire on hand, because when that ice accumulates on that wire, it can stretch it and sometimes break it, and then you've got a problem on your hands. So keep some extra antenna wire, whatever you're typically using, keep some on hand, because you may have to do repairs.
Right. Well, that's good advice. And of course, you need the tools. Now, what I do, and I know a lot of men do this, I build individual kits for different purposes. I have my leather and canvas repair kit, for example, which is all dedicated tools and supplies for repairing and fabricating leather and canvas items. I've fabricated a few. I'm no master leather worker by any chance, by any stretch of the imagination, but I have fabricated a very nice sheath for my 26-inch Collins machete. I've done modifications to various holsters and made various repairs to different canvas. I have a couple of military issue canvas tents that I've done repairs to with my canvas repair kit. I have two electronic kits, one for general electronics and the other specifically for telephones. And they each have their own dedicated tools, dedicated repair parts, and when something comes up, if I need to do some diagnosing on the telephone system here, it's a bit complex. We have two incoming lines. I get out the telephone repair kit. I've got a lineman's headset, just like the regular telephone professional linemen use, and get the kit out, do my diagnosis, make my repairs, get everything buttoned back up, and just put the kit away for the next time. You probably do similar things, don't you, Tom?
Very similar, and I've even made a mistake of not doing some of those things that you just described, John, and then I am searching for a particular tool that I can't find, so I have to go buy another one. And then eventually I find the first one, now I've got two. It has happened, I have to admit.
Well, one of my neighbors did an inventory of all his tools that were scattered on 2 or 3 different places, and he found he had about 40 screwdrivers. And screwdrivers are something that's used all the time, and they're easily misplaced, and then you go buy a replacement, and then another replacement, and but that's not unusual for men to do that, is it?
No, but screwdrivers are handy to have. There's so many different sizes and types, and they do wear out. And now you might have to have a small grinder to put a new edge on the blade if it's a flat blade. If it's a Phillips type of screwdriver, well, that's a whole other story. That's why sometimes one of those universal screwdrivers that has the hex end on it, you can put the inserts in there and use different types of bits. Those are quite handy. They have a magnet in there that holds the small bit. Those work really good. And then as you wear them out, and boy, those Phillips things do wear out, you can just pitch the bit and put a fresh one in there, and they're very inexpensive.
Right.
Yeah, but screwdrivers, you're going to have several different types. I have a lot of hand tools, and sheet metal tools have a lot of that too.
Right. And by quality. There was a brand being sold, I think, in the 70s, maybe into the 80s, called Buffalo Tools, and they were junk. I mean, I don't know if they melted down old tin cans to make these tools with, but the metallurgy and the heat treatment was horrendous. And if you got to use them one time before they broke, that was almost a miracle. So buying good quality pays off in the end, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does. And, John, I have a machine shop, so sometimes I even make my own tools. I have actually made screwdrivers for special applications, and I use what's called O1 oil hardening tool steel. So I heat it up red hot, plunge it into oil, and that hardens it so hard if you drop it, sometimes it'll fracture like a piece of glass. They call that glass hard, and then you temper it back to the hardness that you need, or as close as you can, and you can hone it with an oil stone and get the exact edge that you need. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but sometimes you have to do things like this. And so, yes, the proper grade of steel is very, very important. And some of these some of these cheap screwdrivers, they'll cause you more harm than good, especially when the blade twists off of there and it slips and slides right across the surface of the piece of equipment you're trying to work on. It leaves a big, nasty scratch on there. That's no good at all.
Well, let's get back to this inventory and these radios. Almost all ham radio men and women have handy talkies, what non-ham people call walkie-talkies. But the HTs, as we call them, they require batteries. Well, almost all these batteries are removable these days with simply sliding the little attachment piece of hardware to the side. Now, if you got older radios, you may have the NiCad, the nickel cadmium batteries, which are not what you want. Quite frankly, it's better than nothing. Obviously, what you want are the nickel metal hydride, right, Tom?
That's the better way to go, or even some of these new lithium-based batteries. But those NiCads, John, are old technology. They develop a memory. So if you discharge them too deeply, they tend to want to stay discharged, and it's you can't recondition them. But boy, those things were a nightmare. But in the old days, that's all we had. So yes, get rid of those NiCad batteries and go with something a little newer.
I thought the problem with NiCads was recharging them before they were fully discharged, and then they would take a set in that manner. But
well, John, that and everything else that revolves around it, they were just bad news. But that's all we had. They also would develop what's called internal whiskers. The metallic elements in there would grow like microscopic whiskers and start shorting things out. And you could repair that, but you had to take a higher voltage power supply, I don't know, maybe 25, 30 volts, and force that high voltage for a short period of time, force it into the NiCad cell to blow apart those whiskers and get them out of the way. It'd be like blowing a fuse in there and clear it out and then recharge it. Sometimes you could recover a battery that way, but they were just bad news. I never had good luck with them. And these nickel metal hydride, they're not the latest technology, but they work very well. So
they do.
That's what I do.
And typically you can recharge them 1,000 times. Now, Tom, I know some ham operators, and I know you've known many over the decades. What percentage, just giving us a guess, I don't expect a scientific answer, what percentage of men and women who have these HTs have more than one battery for these HTs?
Well, I'd say if they're smart, they have spare batteries. But it's hard to say, John. Maybe half of them. I don't know. Some people buy one.
Half would be a fair estimate, and I think it's probably a bit optimistic, quite frankly. The men when I was working with a couple of different groups where we would have the HTs, almost none of them had a second battery, and a few would, but almost none would have more than two, three or more. That would be almost non-existent. Point being, extra batteries right now can be had with the modern age. Point, click, click. The big brown UPS truck has it at your doorstep 3 days later. So right now, batteries are relatively easy to get. Get them in your inventory, and if you're out in the field, out in the bush, and you've got your spare battery or two, that could literally be a matter of life and death, having that extra battery or two batteries, couldn't it, Tom?
Oh, yeah, that's right. And, I have a handful of HTs here that I keep programmed on one single frequency so that if you had to put these out to a group, everybody would be communicating on that one channel. So they're all the same. All these radios are the same. So if you know exactly what you need for that type of radio, and I keep spare antennas and microphones. If you want the remote speaker microphone, it plugs in the side. I have those, and then plenty of extra batteries and chargers, so you can keep a battery charged while the radio is being used. And another thing, John, a good thing to have is a charger for that HT that will work in your car. You can plug it in that cigarette lighter outlet and keep that radio charged while you're on the road.
Or do what I've done. My Lincoln Town Car, I've got an inverter in the trunk wired into the electrical system, and I can plug in any 110-volt appliance, including battery chargers. And in fact, I've modified a battery charger to be held in place by Velcro so it wouldn't be bouncing around inside the truck. And I can use my regular 110-volt battery charger right there in the trunk of the town car and keep batteries charged up in that manner. But yes. We got a warming trend here, Tom. It's up to 10 degrees.
Well, at least it's getting warmer, not colder. Yeah, well, John, you showed me that inverter in your car. I thought that was really a neat setup. If you have the room and plenty of room in that trunk to have something like that, so that was a wise investment. You're fully equipped for out on the road for any kind of equipment that you'd have to use while traveling or...
Well, just like I think it's Robert De Niro in a motion picture, he was a car salesman and he had the trunk of the town car open to the prospective buyers, and he said, "Look at this! There's room for two bodies."
Yeah, right. Plenty of room in there.
Yeah, that was a funny scene. But you touched on something I want to revisit here a moment ago. You mentioned all the radios are the same. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're getting ready to invest in handy talkies, keep this in mind. You're buying into a system. You're not just buying a radio, because most likely you end up with 2 or 3 or 5 of these units. You want to make the right decision the first time for the following reason. If you do make the right reason the first time, right decision, purchase decision the first time, you'll be buying not just one radio, but 2 or 3 or 5, and which means you want compatibility with batteries, compatibility with chargers, compatibility with the speaker mics, compatibility with the antennas, all of which you will have if you make the right decision for that initial purchase. And keep in mind that you're buying into a system, because down the road it saves money, it saves grief, it simplifies your logistics, doesn't it, Tom?
That's correct. And you can swap say if one radio is not operating properly, you can switch a different microphone into it, see if that helps, and diagnose problems that way. And you get used to this particular radio, and everybody in your group is used to that. There's no questions. It's an automatic deployment.
Right.
You just turn the radio on, it's ready to go, and everybody knows what to do.
Right. I had an assignment about a year ago, and I had to have 3 radios. It wasn't a year ago. It was only this past Labor Day. I got my radios out, and I got them all laid out on the kitchen table, the speaker mics, the antennas, the radios, the batteries, and I'm patching this together and that together to have 3 radios that were all perfectly functioning and ready to go for the assignment. But if they weren't compatible, I would have been stuck. Because nothing would have switched out with the other. It's very important. I forgot to mention holsters. You have compatibility with holsters also to put them on your vest or on your belt. But this is a very smart thing to do, isn't it, Tom?
It really is. And a lot of the radios nowadays have a belt clip, too, so if you don't have a holster for it, you just clip it on your belt. And they're pretty secure. They stay on there. I just stick it in the back pocket or what have you, and you're ready to go.
All right. We missed our first break here for some reason. I think the squirrel stopped running in the squirrel cage to power up the equipment. But we are taking questions, calls, and comments at 800-313-9443. The question comes up frequently, where do we buy this equipment? Got a couple suggestions, Tom?
Well, sure, John. If we're talking about HTs, I've purchased the ones I have. I've purchased all of them on eBay. Some of them were brand new. Some of them were, most of them were used, but in good condition. And the battery packs. Usually, when you buy these things used, many times the battery packs are shot, and that's why the radio was shipped off to be either repaired or sold because it could no longer hold a charge. They just junked the whole radio. And right. You can buy these things very inexpensively. So eBay is a good source. And then, of course, if you want to buy new equipment, any of the ham radio distributors would have that. My favorite being Ham Radio Outlet. But they're not going to sell that particular type of radio. They're going to cost quite a bit more. such as the Yaesu, ICOM. Those are Kenwood. Those are very popular radios of HTs or base stations, mobile units. They're all good radios, and they're expensive. But if you want to, now what I like about those Motorola HTs, John, they have very loud audio. Some of these little, everybody wants that tiny little radio. These Motorola's are a little bit bigger, not much bigger, but big enough to be very substantial and strong. But when you turn that volume control up, you can really hear that thing. And if you're in a noisy situation, you've got a lot of things going on, you need to hear it, well, you want some volume. And there's an earpiece jack on there, too. If you need to plug an earpiece in, you can do that as well. It's I like those Motorola units. I always have, and that's what I use.
Well, I don't know how many Motorola units we've got around here. It's dozens. I mean, some of the older ones are pretty large and very substantial. I was commenting to somebody the other day that you could probably drive a 16-penny nail through a 2x4 with some of these older Motorola HTs. They're built so tough and so heavy. And yeah, it doesn't get any better than Motorola in terms of quality and durability, does it?
No, I think they're one of the best. Now, the ones I like the best were actually never really allowed in the States. They were made for I guess the Asian market. I'm not sure, but they were never intended to be used in this country. The reason being is that they are front panel programmable. They have the keypad on the front, and they have an LCD window. You can dial in, you can punch in the frequency you want it to be on, and assign that to a channel, set the various parameters. If you want a tone-coded squelch or what have you, you can program all that for each channel, and the ones I have 20 channels. We only use one, sometimes two, but they're very easily programmed, and then you can lock the keypad down so it can't be bumped or accidentally a button pushed and something changed. So they're very versatile for use in your system, readily adaptable to other systems as you can program in new frequencies and functions, etc. That's why the FCC never allowed that particular radio to be used in the States. And I feel it's older, but it's one of the better ones. And I think I showed you some of those, didn't I, John?
Right. We got a call on hold here, Tom. We got Michael in North Carolina. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, John. I wanted to call in and get your opinion on a cheaper radio for someone on a budget looking for HF capabilities. It's on Amazon. It is TYT TH9800. That's Tango Yankee Tango Hotel Niner 800.
Who's the manufacturer of this radio? Do you know?
It's TYT is the company.
Oh, TYT. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom. Are you familiar with TYT radios?
I've seen some of their equipment. For the most part, I believe the ones I've seen were HTs. Is this? You say this is an HF radio, Mike? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a 50-watt quad band radio. It's a mobile unit.
Okay, now if it's called a quad band, that's got to be an FM type transceiver, and I don't know what bands it has in it, but that'll be a VHF and UHF type radio. If it was HF, there'd be more information there. The frequency range is typically HF.
Well, it was saying that it was 6 meter capable.
Yeah, so that would be 50 megahertz. That sounds pretty nice. 50 megahertz. For quad band, it's very likely 6 meter, 2 meter, 450 megahertz, and maybe 220 megahertz. Or it's hard to say.
Right. Well, because it's less than $200.
Yes, and I've never worked with any of those brands. Let me tell you one of the biggest problems with some of these cheap radios. It's called intermod. And that's where you get, if you're out in the country, it's probably not a big deal, but if you're in a congested metropolitan area where there's a lot of communications equipment operating close proximity to each other, you're going to have interference between systems. Perhaps you have this TYT radio in your car and you're in a downtown metro area, all these high-powered repeaters and things for the taxi cabs, police, all fire departments, everything running at the same time. You're on a particular frequency, but some adjacent channels might have a very high-powered transmitter operating at the same time you're trying to receive a signal, and they will actually blank out your radio, and you won't hear anything, or you'll hear all kinds of noise and racket from the adjacent channel interference. Even though your radio is not tuned to that frequency, its front end, the part that connects to the antenna, is broad enough and not selective enough. It doesn't have the selectivity to discard those signals it doesn't want to hear and only lock in on the one you're looking for. So that's very important, but less important out in a rural area, like where John and I are. It's not that big of a deal, but that's something to pay very close attention to, and many ham operators don't pay attention to that, and they end up having to buy another radio because of it.
Okay. Gentlemen, hold on. We have a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back, everybody.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the second day of February. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Don't forget, right there at my website, we have my field training exercise. That's the field training exercise, USS Liberty, December 31st, 2018. When you go there, you'll find 5 different scenarios that you can pick to get ready for. By the end of this year, only just over, not quite 11 months away, since this is the 2nd of February. It's a good project to help you give focus and clarity on your preparations. Also, my website, of course, are energy cleaners. This is my home business. I just picked up a fresh batch from Tom Berryhill day before yesterday, and got energy cleaners in stock, ready for immediate shipment. I'm shipping out a mattress pad today to a young lady in Canada, by the way. Leslie in Canada, your energy cleaner will be on the way from the Cherryville Post Office in a couple of hours. Only $285 shipping included for the energy cleaners. Keep in mind, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. You got joint pain, what are you waiting for? Arthritis pain, it will probably help. Back pain, probably help there also. You'll get a great night's sleep, by the way. You can read all the details at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can make your purchase, energy cleaners, and mattress pads using PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online, MasterCard, Visa. And my address is right there if you need to send me a check. I have a toll-free auto line also, by the way. Here's that toll-free auto line for energy cleaners and mattress pads, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Tom Berryhill, we're talking about emergency survival communications. And Michael, do you have a follow-up question or comment, sir?
him, would he recommend spending the extra money and getting a Yaesu 857?
Well, I have that radio, and that's what I used in the car. The 857 Yaesu is a very, very nice unit. Very nice. Now, the display on there is kind of small. The numbers aren't real big, so, but it's a very compact unit, and it's great for out in the field, portable use, or in the car. I find it to be an excellent mobile unit. And if you get it with that screwdriver-type mobile antenna, that's quite a system for use in the car.
All right, so it'd be worth the extra money to get something you know it's going to work.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going for now, the Yaesu 857, and I don't even remember what I paid. I did buy it from Ham Radio Outlet, and I've used it in the car off and on for a couple of years now. It really is a nice piece of equipment. They have very good specifications, and I've never had any problems with it at all. So, but now if you get one of those and you want a real compact setup, get what they call the separation kit. And this allows you to install the main radio unit in the trunk and remote the control head. So the part that actually controls the radio you can hold in the palm of your hand is quite small. That and the microphone and everything else you need will be up by the driver's seat, and you can set that up that way and keep the guts of it in the trunk out of the way. And of course, the antenna's mounted near the rear of the car, and that's a real compact, very nice installation for a piece of equipment like that. And by the way, you can put when you separate the two like that, you can put that control head, you can set that up with maybe some Velcro pads or something and put that up on top of the dash where you really don't have to take your eyes off the road to move the frequency or work one of the controls, which I think is very important. So all kinds of ways to set it up if you get that separation kit. I think it's another $75 or so. But you'll have no trouble with that radio, Mike. It's a real good one. The TYT, I can't advise you on that because I've never operated one. I don't know the specifications on it. But that is a VHF and UHF radio for sure. And I don't know if you said $200, and I honestly don't know what the 857 Yaesu goes for now, but I think on the used market, I've seen them as low as $400 and as much as maybe $600. I think it's only $650 or $700 new right now. So you'd have to purchase according to your budget.
All right. Well, thanks for the info, and really enjoy the show. Y'all gentlemen have a nice day.
Michael, we appreciate the call. The call number is 800-313-9443. Tom, we really cherish having you on here because your knowledge and expertise is so extensive, and you're talking from firsthand experience in most of these areas that we get into. We have our next caller, David in California. Good morning, David.
The shortwave stuff. Hey, John. Yeah, hadn't talked in a while. It's good hearing this shortwave stuff. I used to have a friend, K7JOR, Highly Riot. Hadn't talked to him in 20 years. The radio you were just talking about, if I remember right, when what's the hurricane that hit Houston last summer, the emergency systems were down. I'm going to bet that shortwave did a lot to getting people stabilized, right, during that hurricane?
Well, it was. There was quite a bit of HF radio traffic coming out of the Houston area and all along the coast there, the Gulf Coast, where there was a lot of damage and systems down. Yes, the ham operators were supplying a lot of that communications. Much of it was using digital modes where they were actually typing out the messages and handling traffic, people trying to get in touch with their family and friends. Health and welfare type information some of that was being sent. And I monitored and participated a little bit in some of that for quite a bit of time. And it went on for a while, too. There were police departments that couldn't talk across the street because their main base station or repeater was down. So, and they typically use what's called talk around, which allows them to bypass the repeater and talk car to car. Some of that wasn't working properly. Maybe they never had it programmed in their radios like that, so everything was just useless. The ham operators usually figure out a way to make it happen, whether it be battery-operated radios.
They punch their own power, right? And so that's what keeps it happening. Whereas, like the Internet, you have to rely on the other source of power to be able to transmit. So, yeah, I understand.
I've always explained it. I've always explained it to people. I'll show them a portable radio that can be used out in the field, operated by batteries, and everybody assumes that there's a cell tower nearby. No, this is the whole system.
Right,
there is no, the infrastructure is right here, sitting in front of you. That antenna transmits to the other side of the world to another radio with an antenna on it, and there's nothing in between except the ionosphere that's bouncing its signal back and forth. That's how
except for 50 inches of rain down there in Houston, how well did it work? The rain slow some of them down, or what?
No, it worked perfect.
Right.
That's why I stress HF systems. If you want to talk locally, you use VHF and UHF radios. And by the way, those HTs we were talking about earlier, I do have some VHF, but most of the ones I use are on 450 megahertz. I prefer the UHF radios for short-range local communications. If it's going to be a search and rescue type of situation, or you're just talking from car to car with some HTs, the UHF works fine, and it's less congested. The antennas are smaller, works great. The VHF, I have several of those, but if you're trying to do something on a regional basis, everybody wants to rely on these repeaters and these massive infrastructures that are needed to make it all happen. Well, the HF systems don't need that. There can be a command center or a base station that perhaps is higher power. It could be operated from batteries with a solar panel or generator backup, and then the units out in the field can be battery operated along with solar panels or a small generator if need be to recharge those batteries occasionally. You can operate for weeks like this, and there is no need for cellular phone towers or anything like that because the entire infrastructure is what's sitting right in front of you.
Yeah, never throw away your dial-up phone either. I remember I work with various radio stations, and during Katrina, the only interviews we could do from down there were people that could call out from a dial-up phone. And they were right down in the, ninth quarter or whatever down there, and they were able to get interviews out, and one person out of 15 blocks or something like that had a dial-up phone. Never throw those babies away. Hey, well, thanks, John. I was going to say, too, the best way to get the message out is tell the truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good week.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
David. Thank you, David. Appreciate the call. The call number is 800-313-9443. Okay. Well, getting back to the original premise of inventorying what you have, stuff gets set aside. It gets on a shelf. We may go for a year or more without even looking at it, and that can be a massive mistake, can't it, Tom?
Oh, yeah. And, and speaking of inventory and radios and batteries, the number one thing to really keep track of is those batteries. If they sit around unused, sometimes they'll self-discharge, and actually that can cause quite a bit of trouble to where they'll never take a proper charge again. So the nickel metal hydride are not really susceptible to that as much as the older NiCad types, but it's still a good idea to keep them charged up and ready to use at all times. So pay close attention to that if they're sitting in inventory.
Absolutely. And the older you get, the more this becomes an issue because a year will just flash by, won't it?
Oh, boy, that sure seems to happen, doesn't it? How about that?
Yeah, no doubt at all. We have time for a couple more calls here before we wrap up this hour at 313-9443. Well, I'm always getting inquiries, Tom, people asking me they could be in North Dakota or Florida or Maine or Texas. How do I find people of like mind? And that brings up the topic of ham radio clubs. I would say the overwhelming majority, 75-80% of the men and women involved in ham radio clubs are also interested in preparedness, to at least to some extent. Wouldn't you say that, Tom?
That's really true, and most of the ham operators that I've known for years and even new acquaintances are quite interested in this and always have been before it was even popular. Way back, they were interested in emergency communications and just having spare supplies on hand in case there is a power outage or any other type of situation similar to that. So, yes, you're right, John. And well, anyway, yeah, the ham operators are usually involved in a club. If there's now, I'm not in any clubs right now because there aren't any local. But your group is starting a new one, so I'm quite interested in that. And this is how, if a person interested in becoming a ham radio operator would simply go online while it's still here and available, no EMP yet, but go online and search in your local area for ham radio clubs and simply go to one of their meetings, express an interest, introduce yourself, and they will be more than willing to help you.
That's right.
And many of them will also offer to do the testing for the license. The FCC now doesn't hold, they haven't for years, but they don't hold the testing sessions at the federal buildings like they did in the old days. So it's all volunteer examiners, and many of these ham radio clubs will have their group of volunteer examiners. So you'll take the test in a familiar surrounding where the club meets, and many of the members will be the volunteer examiners. So it's a real relaxed atmosphere, and you don't have to be nervous. They'll help you with the study guides. You can learn all about it, and then when you're ready, take that test, and your license is issued pretty quickly, and you're on the air and ready to go. And they'll help you all the way. And once you're on the air, I've always explained it as like an apprenticeship. You can then learn as much as you want. You'll meet new people. It's pretty much fun, and you'll meet all kinds of people. You'll meet doctors, you'll meet janitors, and everything in between. It doesn't matter. And once you're on that ham radio, John, it's like a fraternity. Everybody's a member, and we all help each other, and it really is quite interesting.
Absolutely. Here's our next call. We've got Norm in New York. Good morning, Norm.
Yes. Hi, John and Tom. Thank you for your service, your dedicated service. Hello?
You're welcome. Yes, sir. You're welcome. What can we help you with this morning?
I have a two-part question that's related. I'm wondering if either you are familiar with a internet program called Chirp, where you can install multiple programs on multiple radios. And specifically, I spent about 3 weeks trying to get it on Windows 8, and then Windows 10 self-installed, and I lost all that data. So I was just wondering what your first impressions are of the Chirp system.
Well,
okay,
I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the name only. I know a lot of these ham operators are using it to program mainly the HTs and the VHF and UHF radios. Apparently, Chirp is a system that's readily adaptable to numerous radios, and it will you can set up the frequencies and everything. Unfortunately, I've never used it myself. And the equipment I use, I rarely program in any channels, except the Motorola HTs that we use locally here from time to time. We have them all set on one frequency. It was very easy to do because they're keypad programmable from the radio's keypad. So there was no external program needed. And as a matter of fact, I don't think there's even one available for those units. They're so simple to program. That's what we do here. The Chirp system, I think the best thing for you to do is go on one of the ham radio forums online and log in there and maybe start asking, and you'll have dozens of people come forward and offer suggestions. I see it discussed, but since I'm not really involved with that program, I've not paid a whole lot of attention.
Well, my second part was any opinions on Windows 10 in the cloud? It just kind of self-installs itself.
I don't like anything called cloud. I like nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
And our friend Professor McCann, he's dead set against Windows 10, and that's about as much as I know.
Okay, well, that's very informative. Thank you. Briefly, You're talking about emergency situations like Katrina. President Trump, in his State of the Union address, acknowledged the Cajun Army down there, which I'm sure they were using ham radios. So it was interesting.
I heard him say that, and that was great that he mentioned them.
Well, thank you for your program and your information.
Norm, thank you for the
gentlemen.
call. We appreciate it. Here's our last break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 2nd of February. Tom, we got our last caller on hold here. Fred in Wisconsin. Good morning, Fred.
How you doing? I just got a couple of quick questions. I came in on this late. Does this require, the handhelds require the ham radio operator's license? And then secondly, if you're out in the bush with this thing, can they triangulate you and find you?
Well, the answer is yes to yes to both questions. You do need a license. If you operate in the ham radio frequencies, you do need a license no matter what the power level is. And yes, any of these signals could be triangulated. Yes. And there's even other ways to direction find without triangulation to get the general direction of the signal, and then you can monitor the signal strength and the direction it's coming from, and you can get pretty darn close to it. As a matter of fact, the ham operators will hold training exercises and contests where they call it fox hunting. They'll put a minute little low-powered transmitter that will hide it. It might be in a tree or in a bale of hay or something, and this thing sends out a signal, and then they start out from one point, and they actually go out with their equipment, and they try to locate that transmitter, and somebody always finds it. So, yes, these things can be located. It takes quite a bit of effort and equipment to do it, though, so it's not an easy task, but it can be done.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the call, Fred. And, of course, there are countermeasures to broadcast no more than 5 seconds. We usually say 7 seconds, but keep it down to 5 seconds when the person you're talking to knows precisely when you'll be talking for those 5 seconds. And then, so there's ways to defeat this technology and still remain secure, isn't there, Tom?
Oh, that's right, John. Yes, keep the transmission short. You tune in on the HF ham bands or even the repeaters and the VHF circuits, and you'll hear people long-winded. They talk for a long period of time. You want to get a direction finder zeroed in on, you just do something like that. Short transmissions are best, especially when there's emergencies going on. You don't want to talk too long on a particular channel. You'll tie it up. So there's a lot of traffic going on. Keep the transmission short.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Tom, we're pretty much out of time here. This hour went incredibly fast. We got a lot of good information out. I look forward to having you back next week, sir.
Okay, John. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The top of the hour break coming up here momentarily. We'll have Dr. Phil Myers, my personal physician, and we'll have our health tip of the week when we get back from this top of the hour break. Weekend coming up, and let's see, 3 weeks from today, it will be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks from today, it'll be March. 4 weeks from today, it will be March. So spring is not far away. Spring is not too far off at all. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not a big fan of cold weather. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Friday, the 2nd day of February. And prep tip of the day, I want to encourage you to inventory everything. Socks, batteries, water, food, ammunition, medical supplies, healthcare products, whatever they might be. Inventory everything. While you're taking inventory, make sure everything's in good condition, hasn't been damaged by bugs or rats or rust or heat or cold or water, and everything's ready to go. That's your prepper tip of the day. When you've got your inventory complete, then establish your purchase list and prioritize it, getting the most important things first. That's your prepper tip of the day. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Dr. Phil Myers. Dr. Myers is a chiropractic physician living and working in my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. He's my personal physician, by the way. And he's real easy to get started with Dr. Myers. Just call his office, set up that first private no-charge consultation at 314-878-6868. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. How's everything today?
No complaints down here where it's about 10 degrees first thing this morning, but warming up. It's going to be not an unpleasant day, sunny and dry. How about yourself, sir?
Same thing here. I was hoping it would get a little warmer soon, but hey, it's winter. What do you expect?
Yeah. Well, here's the bright side of this. 4 weeks from today, it'll be March. So
yes, it will.
Yeah, 4 weeks from today, it will be March, and so spring's not too far away. And all things considered, here in eastern and south central Missouri, we've had a very mild winter, virtually no precipitation of any consequence, and no complaints compared to other parts of the country. It's dry, but we will manage. Well, sir, we look forward every week this time for the health tip of the week, and what would that be this week, sir?
There's a good thing that's happening for every single human being on this entire planet, and that is we are being given the opportunity to truly and utterly let go of old constraints, old belief structures, old ways of doing. We've been talking about this for so long. I mean, ad nauseum, we've been talking about this, and just how much if changing your life. If you want to see your life change, you got to change your life. And that's really, really hard for people. I mean, if anything, just getting up and maybe having a different type of breakfast or fasting. Just in terms of the morning and seeing what that's like, just doing those little things. And so last week we really talked about getting active, doing some type of activity that was just a little bit different than what you've ever experienced before. And we talked about formulating a foundation, building something from the ground up, and also getting in touch with your breathing and why that's so important and how that's going to fit into with the health tip of this week is when you're changing, you're going to, and you are going to experience pitfalls. You're going to experience your way of doing things. You're already always thinking the same thoughts, the same belief structures, the same, well, this is how my body always does it. This is how I respond and react to this. I need this, or I don't want that. And even if these conversations that go on in between your ears, you're aware of or you're unaware of, it doesn't matter. They happen anyways. And it's kind of like the little conversation that goes on is your body saying, I'm going to do this, or I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be mindless about this, or I'm going to be very mindful about this. And everything we've always talked about is in getting your body and your mind into that mindful state. So when it comes to this week And the health tip of the week is when you start seeing consciously the challenges. It's like, well, why aren't I seeing the results that I want? Why is things taking so long? What's going on? There's a conversation that's going on behind the scenes that's literally saying, don't do this. You can't do this. You're unable to do this. This isn't going to bring about anything good, or the worst one about it, it's just too dang hard. So don't even try.
Well, people can talk themselves out of things, can't they?
Oh, all day long. And it's not even a real conversation that it's like you and I just talking right now. It's not even that. It's so unconscious. It's so underneath the radar. It's just a behavior. It's just a muscle contraction and an action of an immature behavioral pattern is what it is, that just runs a program, just like the stuff behind your cell phones. Your cell phone's running a whole bunch of programs behind the scene that you don't even know about, just like your computer running a whole bunch of programs that you don't even know about. As long as you can get on Google and do your search engine and go to Facebook and do to Twitter and do the things you want to do, you're all happy. You don't care about what's really going on in the background. And your body and your mind works the same way. There's these conversations that go along the background. So here's the thing. Here's the beautiful part about it. You don't even have to know those conversations. Don't even have to dilly-dally with them or try to figure them out or try to do anything about it. You just know, just the mere fact that you know that they do exist, you can do something about them. And so your health tip of the week is literally going to, and here's the thing, when you first start doing it, you're going to talk about this very logically. Like, okay, well, Dr. Phil said that if I use this phrase, if I think have this thought, it's going to cancel out this negative belief pattern that I have. And it's true. From a logical mindset, that's only half the brain. The other part, and the part where these programs really, 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 really run, is in the emotion. And what they do is they keep you in motion in that standpoint. But here's the fact. We're going to change the motion. We're going to change the emotional connections. And so as you start utilizing this phrase consciously, you're first going to use logical brain. And that's very, very, very natural and very common. As you do it, though, and as you start really slowing down with it, letting yourself experience something about it, you get into the emotional brain. And the emotional brain is where the transformation really takes place. You hit it in the emotional level, you're going to take place. So here you go. What you're going to want to do is these negative belief patterns, these things that keep you stuck in your everyday, have phrases of you can't, you're not allowed to. So you easily cancel it out by saying I can, I will, and I am able to. I can, I will, and I am able to. And for the really deep-seated ones, this will bring about great results. I can, I will, I am able, and it will bring about great results.
Doctor, it sounds like you're pretty much paraphrasing the words of Dr. Joseph Murphy in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Probably. This stuff isn't old. This stuff isn't new.
No, not at all.
This is ancient wisdom with a modern flair. And the language, the linguistics of it all, when it speaks its truth, never changes. You just can't say it any other way. I can, I will, I am able to, and this will bring about a great result. Now, when you start doing this, the emotional body, the emotional mind is going to say, I don't think so, Tim. And you're going to have those backlashes. And what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing fear show up. You're going to start seeing anger show up, resentment, guilt. Oh, guilt is horrible. The guilt that shows up. Because what's happening is you are starting to put something first that rarely is ever put first. And that, my friends, is you. You're going to start actually putting you in front of the line. And you're going to start putting you as the winner of the race. You're going to start putting you at the top of the totem pole. And you are going to get the first place trophy. And for a lot of people in weight, in management, in job, in career, in finances, I mean, you can name all of them. It doesn't matter. You're going to notice that there are areas in your life where you're like, I can be second. Everybody else needs to be first. They got it worse off than me. Look, they got cancer. Ooh, they got that disease. Ooh, they're dealing with this. Oh, they got a divorce and that going on, and they just lost their spouse, and oh my God, it's so much worse off than me. So they need it way more than I do. You know what that is? Guilt. Shame and guilt. All the way around the board. It doesn't matter how it got there, who taught you it, how you responded to it in your past. It is guilt. And when we start recognizing that we really need to put ourselves first. Here's an example of how one can simply put themselves first. So as a therapist, as a practitioner of health, I take care of a lot of people. And so I'm standing next to them while they're lying on the table, they're kind of doing their thing, but I am doing my thing, and I'm moving around the table, I'm standing, I'm putting my body into pretzel moves and things like that. Now, if I wasn't conscious of putting me first, what would happen? I would start using way more muscle contractions and way more muscle effort to get their body to do something. And I'd be on my tippy toes, I'd have one knee locked, I'd have my body hunched over, I'd be straining my neck, I'd have tension in my jaw. But when I put myself first, recognizing my breath, putting my foundational feet on the floor, making sure my shoulders and my spine and my knees are in their relaxed and tonified position for the move that I'm going to be making for my client on the table or to express their body in a certain way. If I don't focus on me first, at the end of the day, I'm a beat-up rag doll, and everybody else was like, oh, this is great. Wow, Dr. Phil, you look tired. You need to start taking care of yourself.
That's right. Right.
And so it is not a bad thing to ever put yourself first. Ever. What most people get stuck in the rut about is when they have that, I'm going to put myself first, and the guilt, the shame, the resentment, the anger all show up. And it's that's leading the system. But that's where I'm able to start coming into play. When you start really doing that, I mean, think about it like this. You put yourself first by brushing your teeth in the morning so you don't have dragon breath all day long and make everybody pass out around you. That's putting yourself first. You're taking care of your hygiene first. We do it, but when it comes to some really important things, we don't. And we forget how important it is to really focus on ourselves. And it's not in a selfish way. It's not in a, I deserve it more than anybody else. I'm sorry, no. You need to be taking care of yourself in order to take care of others. Especially caregivers. Caregivers are the worst. And I mean, I'm part of that mechanism, so I can really get on our cases about it. Caregivers are the worst. It's like everybody else first, me last. They need it more than me. I'll put myself last. Now, here's the thing. One of my best friends a long time ago told me, Phil, you will never be able to give if you aren't doing for yourself first. And when that first was told to me, I had, just like everybody else, a lot of resistance, a lot of judgment, a lot of anger, a lot of guilt that showed up with all that. And it takes practice. And that's putting you first. Putting an exercise program into your daily, weekly, monthly routine is an aspect of putting you first. If you're not exercising, if you're not doing some type, like from last week, we said health tip of the week, start doing some activity. If this week weren't doing it, you weren't putting yourself first.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 2nd of February. Quick reminder, there's a new banner at my website about the Dallas event. I'll be speaking in Dallas the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, and 25th of March. And that banner gives you, when you click on there, you'll see the discount. You put the code in, you get a nice discount when you use the code on the banner there. Visiting with Dr. Phil Myers. You want to get started with Dr. Myers? I'll do the following. Call his office, set up that first private, no-charge consultation. That telephone number is 314-878-6868. Let's continue, Doctor.
So when it comes to doing that, it's extremely important. And you can be highly successful in so many different areas. Like I was just during the break, I was just kind of looking up and I saw my diploma from my Logan College of Chiropractic, Dr. Philip Myers, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I was looking at that. I'm like, you know what? That was something that I did, and I learned a lot about myself, about what I was capable of, and all that type of stuff. But the overall, when I really looked at it, when I was really thinking about it, the overall reason was to help other people and not for myself. I actually had myself last in the reason why I actually went to go do that degree. And so, and again, highly successful, learned a lot, great stuff, but in the end of it, I wasn't first in that process. And knowing what I know now about how that process works in terms of putting you first, that experience would have looked completely and utterly different. There was one aspect of it that I know I did put myself first, is when I left my previous life in Ohio to come here to Missouri to get my doctorate. I told myself, I am not going to be working on other people while I'm going through school. I need to heal my own self. So there was an aspect of it, but the overall reason why I went to go to do the diploma, to get my doctorate, wasn't for my own self-worth, for my own self-gain. It was for everyone else in the world, in which we all reap the benefits from it now. But there's a difference there. And it's that little nuance, and that's what I'm trying to get at, is it doesn't matter how big the event was or how grandiose or how awesome or how challenged you were when you did such things. Again, making sure that no matter what you do from now on forward, as best as you can, that you are first and that you can do that. You are able to do that. Are you willing to do that? And saying to yourself, I'm willing to do that. And knowing that mindset, that attitude, that perception will bring upon great fruit, great results, is a huge, huge, huge paradigm shift. And like I said, it gets you learn to let go of guilt, shame, anger, resentment, judgment, all those types of things when you process that. And those are the things that are holding you back. Not anything else. It's the guilt, the shame, the judgment, the resentment, and all the other negative connotations. The emotions.
Right. Well, I hope people will pay heed and they will take that first step, Doctor, to begin and commence doing the things that you're suggesting doing.
Another good thing, so we have finally put, so as I preach my own thing that I'm doing for myself, we have finally launched Phi Wholeness. That's PHIWHOLENESS.com, Facebook and Twitter. Go to those sites, check them out.
Outstanding. Here's our bottom of the hour break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the Energy Cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 2nd day of February. I've been invited and have accepted to speak in Prague, Czech Republic in September. The details will be coming later. I'll be speaking in Dallas, Texas, March 22nd to the 25th. I am the keynote speaker at the Hear the Watchman event. There's a banner there at my website at thelibertyman.com. And, of course, we have energy cleaners for sale at my website. This is my home business. I'm shipping a mattress pad to Canada today, to Leslie in Canada. Thank you, Leslie. I got a fresh batch of energy cleaners from Tom Berryhill 2 days ago. And check out the energy cleaners. If you have arthritis pain or joint pain, you might be pleasantly surprised. I was talking to a doctor on air yesterday, and he's talking about his brother, who's also a doctor, was using a product similar to an energy cleaner that was getting great results with Alzheimer's, and they shut down the experiment. How about that? The energy cleaner is a marvelous healing device. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Only $285, shipping included. Check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads. They go right on the bed. They plug directly into the energy cleaner. That's what people like about them. They're very comfortable, and, of course, it's washable as well. You can order the energy cleaner and the mattress pads right at my website at thelibertyman.com using PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online. And, by the way, if you live in the USA, PayPal now takes payments. MasterCard, Visa, you can send me a check. My address is right there at my website at thelibertyman.com. My toll-free order line, if you want to place your order with my toll-free order line people, that's 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Dr. Phil Myers. If you want to get started with Dr. Myers, you don't have to be in Missouri. He can give you a diagnosis any place and get started with that first private, no-charge consultation. Call his office at 314-878-6868. We're taking your questions, calls, and comments here at Republic Broadcasting for Dr. Myers. The call number is 800-313-9443. Doctor, I want to tell you about my workout program. I'm now up to 200 crunches a morning, 60 sit-ups. I'm incrementally increasing up to 100 a day. And, of course, all my stretching. And once the weather gets warm enough to be outside and do some running, I will commence my running. So I'm making progress, sir.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and see, everybody, that's what we're talking about. And it can be as simple as just starting a stretching routine. Just starting a stretching routine. And going slow, going consistent, and being diligent in the process, you will start seeing results. It's amazing on how unstable a lot of people are. So when I train people here, we go through 5 core moves that the body utilizes for strength, flexibility, range of motion, stability, and recovery. And when these moves are implemented by people, you really start seeing the breakdown that has occurred over the years. And this is from everybody, from high school kids all the way to whatever age, and that these core moves are essential for vitalistic and a healthier state of being and movement. And it doesn't matter how much nutrition you do, how much mental, emotional release work that you do, how much detoxing you do, how much religious work that you do, how great your job and your career and your finances are. Though no one's immune to these 5 core moves. And the more that you are working with these 5 core moves, the better it is. And so just knowing that you have the ability to build your system up, to be active, to change. Here's the biggest thing. And I love the Republic Broadcasting radio commercial that was first in when the guy was talking about the different powers that be and what they've quote unquote done in knowledge is power. Here's the thing. We have to be completely accepting that when we were developing, that our parents were also being influenced by all of that propaganda. And obviously, the environment that we grew into, the Common Core, all the different stuff, we also grew into that standpoint. All the TV commercials, the subliminal messages, all the different types of things were designed to keep us in a state of compliance. And that is totally not even, I don't even know how to say this. You are so much better than that, basically. And you have so much power in your little finger than any of that propaganda. You just don't believe it. It's like a nice thing to hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, you got it." It's like, "Oh yeah, I believe it." Well, okay. If that's true, then dairy, meat, gluten should not be part of your life, or very little. If you knew that in terms of the emotional brain, and we're living it through the ability to transform yourself, you would realize, oh my God, this stuff is not healthy for me at all, ever. Never has, never will be. Walking into a McDonald's would never happen ever again. Eating any type of fast food would never, ever, ever happen again.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, Doctor, what you're saying is what Dr. Murphy says in his book, quoting the Bible and quoting Jesus, that Dr. Murphy's belief, and this coincides with what you're saying, by the way, Dr. Murphy's belief is that one of the things that Jesus was attempting to do was to let all us barefoot peasants know how much power we truly had in our little finger, to use your words, which we're taught, we're raised, especially in the West here, to not really understand or comprehend the true power that we have. And I think there's really diligent, sincere efforts to keep us from finding that out. What do you think, sir?
Oh, absolutely. That's what addiction's all about. Addiction and allergy is misinterpretation of information, and an addiction is a belief structure that you can't change. That's all it is. Well, you know you can change. You know it logically. I say, yeah, you can change. John, you can change. Oh, yes, of course I can change. But then do we really change? Do we really take in the experience of physical, mental, emotional, biochemical, and electrical change that is truly available right now, available right now, this exact second. No other time in the world is it available except for right now. Continually, right now. I mean, that's how cool it is. It never stops being right now. And it is available to you right now at this exact moment to completely and utterly, totally shift over. Here's the thing. You have to participate in it. It ain't just going to happen for you. You have to take action. You have to see that you are so dang important that the world does. We are created for our own sake. And in that knowledge, and that's a knowledge that hits every single human being, every single culture, that you are created for your own sake. Well, what does that mean? You're first. You're not second. You're not third. You're never last. You never have to be, quote unquote, addicted to anything ever again. And you never have to believe that you're less than powerful beyond measure. Ever, ever, ever again. Remember the words, I can, I will, I am able to, and these actions will bring upon great, amazing, powerful, successful, I mean, any adjective you want that's empowering results.
Well, Doctor, I hope people are paying heed and that they will stand up to meet the challenge and not have a defeatist attitude. Attitude is everything. Taking that first step is everything. And it is doable. Where there's life, there's hope, isn't there, Doctor?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. You're going to wake up tomorrow. You maybe woke up today on the quote-unquote wrong side of the bed. Well, you know what? You woke up on that side of the bed, and because there was a program there that kept telling you, this is the experience of today based upon the sensory input that you just got in. I mean, the 200 million bits of data that just flew into your subconscious system right there at that exact moment triggered something, and you, quote-unquote, have the wrong side of the bed attitude about whatever. And it could be very subtle. Just, man, I'm just angry today, or I'm just irritated or pissed off or whatever. Or, man, I just can't do that today. Well, you know what? When you say the word I can't, neurologically, your body goes in complete and utter weakness.
That's right.
Absolutely. I mean, from a kinesiological standpoint, which kinesiology is basically the study of the movement of energy that runs through the nerves, that runs through consciousness, that contracts and relaxes muscles, that feeds the bone immune system for higher, greater potential and strength and ability. When you say the word can't, your body literally weakens. The whole thing, not just one little muscle, not just one little system, your entire being, your entire auric field, your entire energy acupuncture meridian pathway system collapses into a puddle of goo on the floor.
Right. Well,
so when you say the word, I can't, I will never, I won't, never going to happen, don't believe in that, can't even possibly think that it might be beneficial for me in any way possible, you're a puddle of goo on the floor.
The analogy that Dr. Murphy uses, your conscious mind saying I can't, is the captain giving instructions to the subconscious crew, who will follow those instructions to a T.
To a T. Exclamation point, italicized, underlining, bold-faced.
There you go. There you go.
Just throw it all in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And conversely, when you say I will, or I can, or let's go do it, your subconscious takes that as orders just as well, doesn't it?
It does. Now, here's the little caveat with that. Right now, a lot of you don't believe that. So when you go from an I can't unconscious to a can conscious, there's a lot of backlash. And so throw in the word possibility and I am okay is extremely important. Extremely important. Because the system cannot argue with possibility. And to allow yourself to see that you are okay. Even in the depths of the storm of hail and brimstone, you are okay. And it is possible for you to think, move, and behave outside of the reaction that you are currently having with that hail, within that hail and brimstone environmental stimulus. You can change. You can have a different attitude. And trust me, you're going to be challenged. If you think that this process is absent of challenge,
Hardly.
Now, how hard? Now, that challenge in terms of its depth and intensity is always based upon state of mind and experience. Like the first time you ran a mile. Oh my God, was that not the hardest possible thing you probably ever did? The second time, though, was a lot easier. And it just kept getting easier and easier and easier because what are you doing? You're building brain cells. You're building neurological networks. And that's what you are capable of doing. It's called neuroplasticity, epigenetics. Your body, you can change. The propaganda that you're not able to change it, you're stuck within your genetic code from your mom and your dad?
No, don't believe it. No, don't
not
believe
even
it.
close.
No,
Don't believe it at all. Not even close. And here's the thing. You came into this world, and I tell my clients a lot of this. Try this one on for size. Just go into the dressing room, try on the shirt. If you don't like it, you can always take it off. Try this one on for size. You set this world up. You, before you came here, behind the veil, set up every challenge, every nuance, every lesson for you to learn specific things and to be able to teach specific things in this life. So if you're dealing with XYZ 1, 2, 3, it's because you put it there. Try that on for size. It puts you in complete control, which the whole propaganda system says you are not in control, you have no control, and don't even try. But try it on for size and see how it fits.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hold that thought, Doctor. We got a break. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 2nd of February. Well, Doctor, we've covered a lot of territory here, and I believe that we've helped motivate some people, give people hope that they can do these things. Start small. I know I started my workout program a week ago. I was only doing 50 crunches and 20 sit-ups. Or 20 push-ups, Now, 10 days later, I'm doing 60 push-ups and 200 crunches, and of course all the stretching. So start small, and I'm not doing what I did half a century ago. I would just push through the pain. I've since learned that when the pain gets to a certain point, to back off and try it again tomorrow, which was the modern way of doing it, isn't it, Doctor?
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, I actually rammed my knee into something the other day, and I was like, oh, man. So, and I spent some time yesterday doing some rehab on it and woke up this morning, it was all good to go. But I could have easily said, oh, you know what, I'm just going to push this. I'm going to do my normal workout that I was going to do that day. And you know what, it would have woken up and it would have been horrific. But, you back off, you reassess, you take heed of what's going on in the moment, and you use common sense a lot of times, but again, not so common.
Right.
In old ways of thinking.
That's right. Well, these things can be done. People can improve themselves, improve their health, have more strength, energy, flexibility. All these things can be done, can't they, Doctor?
Absolutely. And for motivation, going to, honestly, get involved with Facebook, get involved with Twitter, go to Phi, P-H-I, Wholeness, W-H-O-L-E-N-E-S-S. You'll find that phrase on Twitter, on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you go to PhiWholeness.com, get involved with, sign up for our newsletters that will be coming out soon, and all the different information that will be posted on that website. It's going to be a plethora of information as the months and years go by. That is my official new website, and that is not changing anytime soon.
Outstanding. Well, thank you, Doctor. Any final comments? We've got about 1 minute left here.
You can, you will, and you are able to do anything and everything in your life. Give yourself the opportunity, maybe for the first time in your life, to be first. Well, it's about time, and people need to understand this and comprehend it, and just do it. Don't hold yourself back, right, Doctor? Every morning you say those words at least 15 times, and every night say the same thing before you go to bed, and practice gratitude with it. Well, I'm going to change the link and get this new link up on my website. Thank you, Doctor. Have you back next Friday. You too, John. Bye. Okay. That's it for the day. That's it for the week. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaning, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms ammunition, every good for guns. Have a fun, safe, productive day and weekend. See you Monday morning, and God bless America.